There comes a definitive time in life when the roles between parents and children start to shift. You spend decades raising them, guiding them, and sacrificing every comfort for their future. But then, one day you realize something has fundamentally changed. Maybe they ignore your advice, maybe they dismiss your opinions with a roll of the eyes, or maybe they talk down to you as if you no longer understand the world. Worse yet, they make you feel like a burden in the house you built. It hurts. If your children have started treating you with less respect than you deserve, you might feel frustrated, lonely, or even angry. You might want to remind them of everything you've done, the sleepless nights, the financial sacrifices, and the years you spent putting them first. But here is the hard truth. Getting angry won't fix it. In fact, reacting with emotional outbursts often makes things worse, confirming their perception that you are difficult or out of touch. Instead, there is a much more effective way to regain their respect without fighting, without arguments, and without resentment. Today, I'm going to share 6 powerful actions you can take. These are psychological shifts and simple changes in the way you respond that can completely transform the way your children see you. Some of these might surprise you, but if you stay until the end, you will discover how to regain your place as a respected, valued figure in their lives. Action 1. Stop chasing their approval. One of the biggest mistakes parents make as they grow older is trying too hard to please their adult children. You might notice yourself walking on eggshells, rearranging your schedule to accommodate them, or saying yes when every fiber of your being wants to say no. You do this hoping that if you are helpful enough, they will finally appreciate you. But respect isn't earned through self-sacrifice, it is earned through self-respect. If you are always bending over backward, you are teaching them that your feelings come second. Consider the story of Margaret, a once independent woman who began letting her children make every decision for her just to keep the peace. The result? They stopped valuing her voice entirely. To regain respect, you must stop acting like you need it. Set boundaries. Speak your mind, even if it's unpopular. The moment you start respecting your own time and opinions, they will start seeing you as an individual of substance again. Action 2. Don't argue. Lead by example. When you are dismissed, your instinct is to fight back, but respect is never won through words. It is earned through presence. If you meet disrespect with shouting, you give away your power. Think of Frank, a retired teacher. At home, his children laughed at his advice. He tried to argue his way into respect, but it only made him look weak. The shift happened when Frank stopped arguing and started listening, really listening, without the need to win the point. He carried himself with the quiet dignity of a man who already knew his worth. He spoke calmly and with wisdom. When you hold your ground with grace and refuse to lower yourself to their level of immaturity, you create a vacuum of respect that they will eventually feel compelled to fill. Action 3. Withdraw your emotional dependence. It is a hard lesson, but you cannot depend on your children for your emotional fulfillment. When children sense that you need them to feel valued, the power dynamic shifts unhealthily. People respect those who are emotionally independent. If you rely on them for constant validation, it feels like a burden to them, and they may pull away with irritation. Take the example of Helen, who waited by the phone every day. Her desperation pushed her children away. But when she stopped waiting and started focusing on her own happiness, picking up old hobbies and seeing friends, her children actually started calling her more. They were intrigued by her new life. When you show them that you can stand strong on your own, they will value your presence not out of obligation, but out of genuine admiration for the life you lead. Action 4. Set boundaries and enforce them. Children often lose respect because parents allow them to. If you tolerate being interrupted or mocked, you are training them that this behavior is acceptable. Setting boundaries doesn't mean creating conflict. It means deciding what you will not accept. Robert, a businessman, realized that every time he stayed silent during his children's criticism, he was losing a piece of his dignity. He began saying, "I will continue this conversation when you are ready to speak respectfully." He didn't scream. He just walked away when the boundary was crossed. Eventually, his children realized he wasn't backing down. They learned that access to him was a privilege that required basic decency. If you don't stand up for yourself, you are teaching them that you aren't worth standing up for. Action 5. Stop giving without appreciation. Overgiving is a silent killer of respect. When you give your time, money, or energy to someone who doesn't acknowledge it, you aren't building love, you are building entitlement. They stop seeing your kindness as a gift and start seeing it as a guarantee. George was a father who did everything for his kids, but they only met his generosity with complaints. When he finally stopped overextending himself and started saying no to unreasonable demands, his children were initially frustrated. But over time, they began to value the things he did do. They realized his resources were a gift, not a right. When you teach people that your generosity is conditional on their respect, they will treat your efforts with much higher regard. Action 6. Build a life outside of them. The most powerful way to regain respect is to show that your happiness does not revolve around them. If you have no purpose, no hobbies, and no interests outside of your children's lives, you become a background character in their story. Eleanor, a widow, found that her children avoided her because she was constantly checking in on them. Once she joined a community center and started traveling, she became a person of interest again. Her children became curious about her life. When you are living a full, meaningful life, you are no longer a burden or an afterthought. You are an inspiration. Final thoughts. Respect is not a demand. It is an echo of how you treat yourself. If your children have lost their way, don't waste your energy in anger. Shift your approach. Stop chasing approval. Lead with dignity. Withdraw emotional pressure. Set firm boundaries. Stop unappreciated giving. And most importantly, build a life that makes you proud. When you do these things, your children won't just see a parent, they will see a respected, valued human being. Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, please comment below and tell me which action you plan to take first. Don't forget to subscribe for more insights on living a life of wisdom and strength.